Hello and welcome to a World of Good podcast. My name is Andrew Gale, and I am traveling once again in Norberto Curley's car, but this time we are in a totally different country than where we recorded the last podcast. We are in the wonderful country of Argentina. We crossed the border on Sunday, and we've been here now for a couple days visiting churches, visiting the Warner Institute and some schools. It's been a really, really beautiful time. And I am joined by the director at the Warner Institute, Matias Silke, and I'm so excited that we get to have a conversation with him. Matias, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, it's nice. It's great for me to be here in this podcast talking with you.
Well, we just want to hear a little bit about Argentina. So we are now in the state of Argentina, really close to the border with Paraguay. We crossed over on Sunday. Can you tell us a little bit about Misiones, the province that we're in on this part of Argentina?
Yes, of course. Misiones is a province in the northern of Argentina. We are between Argentina and Brazil. Actually, we have the 90% of our limits with other countries and only a 10% limit with other provinces in Argentina. And Misiones is called because in the ancient days, in the conquerors, Spanish and Portuguese days, there were Jesuits missions here all over this region, including Paraguay and Brazil. So we are a missionary region.
That's right. So Misiones, the name of this province, is because of all the Jesuit ruins. And if people want to learn a little bit about that, there is the old movie, The Mission, that we were just having lunch with a friend, Claudio, and he mentioned that movie. That's a great perspective of kind of what the Jesuit mission was like in kind of this region, too. I mean, kind of where we are currently.
Yes, they are a good testimony about the mission and about how to defend the local people and how to teach them not only the gospel but also how to work culture also.
Yeah, we hear a lot about the negatives of missions, and there were certainly lots of negative things that happened, but the Jesuits were a really beautiful example of, for the most part, really connecting in with the culture, understanding the culture, supporting communities against some of the Spanish rule that was there at the time. So it's been really neat to see that and learn a little bit more about the connection between the Jesuits and the Guarani, which is the name of the local indigenous group.
Yes, Jesuits, when they came, they protect Guarani people from slavery, and they were a good job in that way. After that, the Spanish kings, they don't like that. They expulse them. I think that is a good, a good expression that they were doing a good work.
Yeah.
Because they want to defend local people.
Yeah, if the government is pushing you out because you're defending people and not doing what they want you to do, you're probably doing something right.
It's a good evidence that you are doing a good job.
Yeah. One of the things that's fascinating to me is how many different cultures are in Argentina. I mean, for here in the Church of God, you have German heritage that's here. There's a large Ukrainian influence, but you also mentioned you're close to Brazil. You have, in this state specifically, 90% of your borders another country, and you're connected to Paraguay. But so there's some Portuguese and there's some Guarani words that get thrown in. There's a lot of different cultures that are all kind of living together in this one area. I find that just really interesting.
Yes. Well, we were talking about Jesuits, and this story has 400, 500 years.
Yeah.
But Misiones and Argentina has less than that. You have 100 and 150 years of history. Talking about Church of God. Church of God is near to have his 100th birthday And here we have a German heritage because a group of German immigrants, they came here and they continue looking for God. They continue looking for to preserve their feelings, their culture, and they asked them to Germany to send them some pastor and to preserve also their language and to preserve the culture,
Yeah.
and of course their faith, the their way to worship. Now we have a Brazilian, Paraguayan heritage also, and I think the church has all that influences.
Yeah. And even though there's a German heritage, we were talking earlier that it's been 3 generations. And so now a lot of the people our age in their 20s and 30s, I'm almost out of my 30s now, but I'll keep calling myself a 30s. But our age don't know German. I mean, it's not necessarily a language that they know as they become more and more, they hold on to their German heritage, but become more and more Argentinian in their I don't know, their cultural perspective.
For example, personally, my grandmother speaks German, and my mother also learned how to speak German, but I don't know how to speak, or I could even understand German. But for example, I know something about Portuguese
Yeah.
because also of the music. We are near Brazil, and I mean there is a new culture. Is a blend of all these cultures.
Yeah. I think that's really neat.
And we are in a globalized world. I'm talking you in English because I learned English when I was a teen, and this also part of this blend.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's been really fun just to see those different cultures and how they kind of interplay with one another. Now, tell us a little bit about the Church of God specifically. We've gotten to visit some churches in the area, both in Posadas and in Alem and different places. But tell us about where the church started here and what it looks like today.
Well, Church of God started here in Misiones, specifically in the town of Alem, about 100 years ago. And then you have more churches that are similar with a group of immigrants from Germany. For example, the Church of Jardín América, the Church of Oberá, Monte Carlos Church. And then you have another churches that are newer. And we are in other provinces as Jujuy, Chaco, Entre Ríos, also Buenos Aires. I'm not sure, but there are about 30 churches
Okay.
all around Argentina.
That's very cool. And one of the things that's interesting, Argentina actually sent a lot of people out into Latin America to do ministry as well. I think about like the Tarons who are in Dominican Republic are Argentinian background. There's been a lot of, Argentina's been an important place, not just for the Church of God for this country, but also for all of Latin America.
Yes, from Argentina were the missionaries that they went to Paraguay, to Uruguay, and also to República Dominicana.
That's so cool. There's lots of cool connections within the Church of God that, and Argentina was a great place where a lot of that started. Now, we've gotten to spend some time with you specifically at the Warner Institute. Can you tell us, for those that don't know, what is the Warner Institute? Where is it? Give us a picture of the work that the Warner Institute does.
Well, the seminary in Argentina, I don't know how, almost more than 40 years, almost 50 years. And it was in other cities before, for example, Alem, then Monte Carlo. But 40 years ago, someone dreamed with an own place for the seminary with his own building, and well, in that time called ITP, Instituto Teológico Posadas. Posadas is the name of the capital, the main city in Misiones. So that's because Posadas Theological Institute. In that way, it was working up to the 90s. Then it was more than 10 years closed, but in 2009 the institute has a reopening with a new program, with a new project, in order to give the new leadership in Argentina and in the region new abilities and a more integral knowledge, not only theological but also by humanistic subjects as philosophy, sociology, psychology. So the graduates, all the students, can know more about the world that they have to work then.
I love that. And Posadas, just a little bit more background on that. It's you said it's the capital city, but to give some perspective, you said it was about 700,000 people that live there.
About that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, we're talking a very large capital city, and the Warner Institute's kind of on is it the far eastern side of the city, and in a kind of a beautiful little wooded area. I mean, it feels almost out of the way, and yet also in this bustling city. It's a unique mixture.
Yes. I love this place. I'm also a graduated from the first group of this new program. Now we call Instituto Superior Cristiano Daniel Warner. We love the place that we have as an institute because, as you say, we have the balance between being close of the city, so students can work, can study another career parallelly, so they can be vocational.
Yeah, bivocational.
Yes. For example, you have teachers. I study media, but also we have a good place to disconnect, to have this connection with God also, because we have a quiet place.
Yeah.
With a beautiful garden with trees, and you have that silence that is necessary for the classes only.
And you and your wife and your daughter actually live right there on campus with some of the students that are there. I mean, so you're very, integrated into the community.
Yes, life in community is interesting.
Yeah, good and bad, I'm sure.
It's interesting. I mean, we not just share classroom. We share sports. We share needs.
Yeah.
We share many things. I think that makes the difference.
Yeah.
We also have an online program because so many leaders and pastors want to study and they don't have the possibility to move here to Posadas.
Yeah.
But I think I'm convinced that the real growth, the real develop of the character of the heart is in situ. I mean, it's in the place with the teachers, with
Yes.
partners, and it's very important that.
Yeah. So tell us about the degree program. You mentioned that they started a new degree program in 2009. It's a 3-year program.
Well, the classes are from Monday to Thursday, from 6 p.m. up to 10 p.m.
Yeah, that's a very late night, but you've said that that's because a lot of them work during the day, right? So this is a way for those that work during the day, they can come and do classes in the evening.
Yes. We have a great team of teachers. We have teachers not only from the Church of God, but we have teachers from other churches, from other denominations. I think that is very rich. It generates a good chat into each classroom.
Yeah.
Because I think I love Church of God theology, but when I look out and when I look other churches, wow, we have so many things to learn. We have so many things that we can grow and we can develop. So it's interesting. And also, when other churches look to us, they see so many things that we are strong.
Yeah.
As an institute, also we have travels. We have a subject that is so interesting, is professional practice, because we think that theology has to be practical.
Yeah.
I mean, we are very intentional with the service.
Yeah.
See, our slogan is creer, crecer y servir. To believe, to grow, and to serve. I think we have to develop all these areas.
Yeah.
For example, when you look at Jesus is grow, he grow not only in the faith and on his relation with his father, but also in his relation with others, and also in the knowledge. And I think students and the leadership has to grow in all these ways,
That's so good.
in a way that in a health way, and it's an integral work.
Yeah, I love the word integral, and I want to bring up something for those that are listening to this podcast that may not know this term. So you have a lot of different classes that you go through, including like theology 1 and 2, and they do Greek and they do history, but they also do things like learning about sociology and social work and those pieces. But one of the classes that I think is wonderful is they do one on Misión Integral, or what we would call integral mission in English. And integral mission is actually a theological idea that was birthed in Latin America. René Padilla was one of the main thinkers in that, but there were lots of other Latin American theologians. And it's the idea that evangelism and social action aren't two things separate from one another, but that they go together. And I think that's something that in America, in the United States, we could really benefit from hearing. But I think we miss out on reading and learning about this idea of integral mission. And I think it'd be super helpful. If you haven't read about it, if you haven't looked into it, check it out. It's a really incredible idea that, again, comes out of Latin America, but is a challenge to us to see the whole person, to see shalom, to be attempting to help people find the shalom that God offers them, which isn't just a spiritual change, but a whole life transition. And I just think that's really neat that that's one of the focuses for the Warner Institute.
Yes, regions as Latin America, Argentina, countries, in these regions, we have people with a lot of needs.
Yeah.
And theology cannot be separated from these needs.
Yeah.
People is looking for satisfy his needs, but we want that they understand his his first need is Jesus, but they are also hungry now.
Yeah.
I mean, we need a balance. But when you look at the New Testament, when you look at Jesus' service, he was always feeding people and teaching them.
Yes. They went together.
They were together.
Yeah. One of the things I love about the Warner Institute is that we got to meet some of you said you were part of the first graduating class, and we got to meet some of your classmates today at the Emmanuel School. It's a kindergarten, primary, secondary school that has over 650 kids, but the director of that is one of your classmates. And then, the person that's over the pastoral counseling and taking care of the kids in that way is a husband and wife couple that was also part of your graduating class. I love to see that students that are coming out of this the Warner Institute are engaged in ministry in really tangible ways on a national level. And I just think that's really exciting that these aren't just degrees for degrees' sake. These are people who are taking what they've learned and putting it into practice in their daily life and in ministry.
Yes, there are a lot of pastors that today they are pastors or they are leaders that they were students from Daniel Warner Institute, and that for us as institution is the best testimony that God is continue calling. Because the church is because the God's kingdom needs workers. God is calling.
Yeah.
I think God is continue calling to prepare the people to serve Him with excellence.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to learn about the Warner Institute, more about it, do you have a website they can go to look at? Or how would you recommend they find you? Facebook, Instagram? What's the best way if someone wants to learn about the Warner Institute?
Yes, we have a web page or a website.
Yeah.
We have Instagram, we have Facebook. A new way that we have to share all the Daniel Warner's movement is Somos Warner, like we are Warner.
We are Warner, yeah.
It's a newsletter where we share testimonies, we share pictures, we share theology. And
Written by some of the students, too. Articles by
yes,
students and professors. Yeah.
teachers, students. The great part of our community is being part of Somos Warner. It's a newsletter, is online. You can read Somos Warner each 2 months. We have new editions.
And I can put that on the show notes. So if you look below, we'll have a link to their website. And Somos Warner is there to be able to look at and see and see what's happening at the school. Well, one last question, Matias, before we let you go. We ask this question all the time. You know, we're called the World of Good podcast. What's something good that God is doing in your world?
I think, or I'm convinced, that a good thing that God is doing right now, that He's calling us to come back to what is important. What is important, the love, and to share the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think God is calling us to share the gospel through schools,
Mm-hmm.
through educational programs, through showing love in service and service community with excellence. Because I think Church of God has a lot of gift,
Mm-hmm.
has a lot of persons, has a lot of a good history, experience that can put for the society,
Yes.
and showing that way God is love.
Yeah, we definitely see you guys doing that, and we're so thankful for it. Matias, thank you so much for sharing about Argentina and the work here, and we'll continue praying for you in the ministry.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I'm so happy to share this time with you. I bless you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to A World of Good. A World of Good is a podcast production of Global Strategy and Church of God Ministries. Our theme song is Colorado by Leo Flores. If you want to join the conversation, visit us at Twitter at A World of Good Pod, on Instagram, A World of Good Podcast, or visit our website, chagglobal.org/A World of Good. And join us next time as we share more stories of good from around the world.